Hola y buenos días. Yo soy el señor Morris, el maestro de español. ¿Cómo están ustedes? Today we're going to look at the calendar and review some of the things that we've been talking about. And then we'll examine some of the things that Mayan and Aztec astronomers developed even before the Spaniards arrived here in the Americas. Some of it may surprise you. But first, what do you think we're going to do before we start any of that? That's it. Sing our greeting song. Canten conmigo. Hola, buenos días. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Cómo se sienten? Yo me siento bien. Muy bien cantado. Well, let's start the lesson with a review of where we are in time with the calendar. Start off with this question. ¿Cuáles son los días de la semana? ¿Cuáles son los días de la semana? And we talked about this before. Días de la semana, days of the week. So you'd answer like this. You'd say, los días de la semana son, and we'll look up here. Lunes, help me out here. Martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado y domingo. And we have a song to help remember the days of the week in Spanish. It goes like this. Hay 7 días en una semana, los vamos a nombrar. Now help me out here, guys. Here we go. Lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. Now, if I wanted to ask about the date, I would ask this question. ¿Cuál es la fecha de hoy? Fecha is date, de hoy, of today. What is today's date? Now, to answer that question, I'm going to say the day of the week, followed by the number of the day, and finally the month. Okay, this is a little bit different from the order in English, right? Say, for example, that today we're a Thursday, and that we're the 6th of February. You'd answer like this. You'd say, hoy es jueves, okay? Jueves 6 de febrero. All right. Now, since you're watching this on tape, okay, probably on some other date than February 6th, see if you can figure out what the date is for the day that you are watching this lesson. Now, we've been talking a lot about numbers on our dates and ordinal numbers of the planets during this discussion of the planets and everything. And we'll be using them some more, so let's go ahead and review them now, okay? Okay? Remember, and now in English we have a 1 and an ST to stand for first, right? Well, in Spanish we have a 1 with a 0, and that stands for primero, right? What comes after primero? Help me out here, guys. Segundo. And then what? Tercero. And then for 4? Cuarto. Quinto. Next. Sexto. You should have these in your notes, right? Next. Séptimo. After that, what do we have? Ocho is octavo. And then nueve is noveno. Now, we've been talking a lot about ¿Dónde vives? And one of the answers has been las planetas. So let's go ahead and review the planetas now with this activity from the CD-ROM, which you guys can get to run on your Macintosh machines in your classrooms. If you go ahead and go to the grade 5-6 activities, you'll find this page comes up. And we're going to go ahead and go to this one that says, ¿Dónde vives?
¿Dónde vives? los planetas. Estás aquí.
Estás aquí means you're here, and this button down here tells us to push it. So let's go ahead and see what we can learn about los planetas. Here we can click on the sun or the planets to learn their Spanish names. Well, of course, the sun is el sol. And let's see. Primero, segundo, tercero.
La tierra.
La tierra. And if I forgot what planet this is, I can come out here and click on it.
Urano.
Now, I can go down here to preguntas, which means questions, and it'll ask me some questions about the orders of the planets. Let's see how that works.
Preguntas.
Urano es el planeta del sistema solar.
Okay, here we go. Is it primero, segundo, tercero, cuarto, quinto, sexto, séptimo, octavo, or noveno? Let's see. I think Urano is one of these out here. I think it's this one. So let's see. Primero, segundo, tercero. This is the cuarto, quinto, sexto. I think this is it, so I'm going to say séptimo. Let's see.
Urano es el séptimo planeta del sistema solar. Mercurio es el planeta del sistema solar.
Mercurio. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think this one here is Mercurio. So I'd probably press this button, but what if I wasn't sure and I made a mistake? What would happen if I pressed this one? Oh, that wasn't so bad. How about this one? Well, how about this one? But if I press primer...
Mercurio es el primer planeta del sistema solar. Neptuno es el planeta del sistema solar.
Well, Neptuno. Neptuno. Let's see, I've forgotten which one Neptuno is. So I can go back down here to Review. And I can click on the sun and the planets to learn their names. So is this Neptuno?
Júpiter.
How about this one?
Saturno.
This one?
Urano.
How about this one?
Neptuno.
Ah, there it is, Neptuno. And now I can count out to find out which of the ordinal numbers that one is. Okay? Well, you guys can go ahead and get that CD-ROM for your classroom if you have a Macintosh computer to run it on. It has review activities for all of the different units at all of the grade levels. Now, as we pointed out, the names of most of the planets are cognates. That is, they're very much the same in both Spanish and English. And that's because both the Spanish and English languages developed in Europe, where there was a great deal of interchange among scientists. So the names of scientific terms and the planets are very often cognates. Now, the days of the week were named for the planets and deities. Okay? Now, remember what day of the week the calendar starts on in Spanish, which is the first day of the week. Okay? Well, the first day of the week was named for the moon. The moon. Hence the name in English, Monday or Moon Day. Well, it was named for the moon in Spanish also. In Spanish, the word for moon is luna. Luna. So what do they call the first day of the week? That's right. Lunes. Lunes. Okay. The second day of the week was named for Mars. Well, now the Saxon name for Mars was Tiu. Tiu. That's the Saxon name. So, in English, we call it Tuesday. Yeah. Well, the name for Mars in Spanish is Marte. So in Spanish, it is called martes. You see how that works? The third day of the week is named for Mercury. Okay? Well, now in English, Mercury was called Woden. Okay? So, for the third day of the week in English, we call it Woden's Day or Wednesday. Well, in Spanish, it's also named for Mercury. Okay? So it is Mercurio, which they then use the day is called miércoles. Miércoles, Mercury, miércoles. The fourth day, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The fourth day was named for Jupiter, okay, who in English we call Thor. Yeah. So the fourth day becomes Thor's Day or Thursday. Well, in Spanish, the name was Jupiter or Júpiter, right? We studied that planet name, which gives us the name Jueves. Jueves. Okay, so that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now the fifth day, which is the one right before the weekend, the fifth day was named for Venus. Well, in English, Venus was named Frigg. Okay, so the fifth day became Frigg's Day or Friday. Well, remember that was Venus. Okay, in Spanish it is Venus. Venus. So it became Viernes. Viernes. Okay? So you see that? Moon Day, Tuesday, Woden's Day, Thor's Day. Okay? Frigg's Day. Then the first day of the weekend, the sixth day, was named for Saturn, the planet. So it became Saturn's Day or Saturday. And in Spanish it went from Saturno, which is the name for the planet, to Sábado. Sábado. And the seventh day, the last day of the week, in English was obviously named for the sun. So we call it Sunday. Pretty easy. Well, in Spanish, the seventh day comes from Día Dominico, which is the day of the Señor or God's day. That's what they called it. So Día Dominico ended up being Domingo. Yeah. Well, in Central America, there were so many fine astronomers that they were able to do a lot of things. Now in Europe, people gave us many of the concepts which we were using up till now. But when the Americas were opened up, okay, there were many fine scientists and astronomers who were already here studying the stars and the planets. Astronomy was as advanced among the Mayas of southern Mexico and Central America. They were just as good as the Europeans, and math was even more advanced here in the Western Hemisphere than it was in Europe. For example, the Mayas were the first people to develop the concept of zero. Okay? Now you may say to yourself, gosh, zero is nothing. But in fact, it opened up a great deal of thought in mathematics. Okay? Think of zero. Okay? 1 plus 0. Okay? 5 times 0. Okay? 1 minus 0. 0 is an important concept. Now, by studying the sun and the stars from an observatory called the Caracol, which means snail, in reference to its shape, the Mayans were able to figure out that the year was just over 365 days long. Their calendar consisted of 18 months that were 20 days each, so that's 360 days, with 5 extra days that were considered to be bad luck, during which people would do nothing. They wouldn't do anything. People wouldn't leave on trips. No one would plant anything. Women couldn't even cook during those 5 days. Hundreds of years after, the Mayas developed their calendar. The Aztecs developed one also. The calendar which they developed is called Guauchicali. Guauchicali. Can you guys say that? Guauchicali. Yeah. And this is known as the Aztec calendar, or the sunstone. Now, it was called the sunstone because right here in the very center of it, see right up here, right, is the deity which they called Tonatiuh. Can you say that? Tonatiuh. And these are all Nahuatl words. Yeah, that's the Aztec language. The Nahuatl words, Tonatiuh was their sun god. All of their daily activities took place around the deity. Now, the wrinkles on his face show great maturity. And the astronomers calculated that a date on this calendar would be repeated only once every 52 years. The figures that they used in their calendar around here represented natural figures like the crocodile and the snake, okay, the rabbit, flower, rain, and others. Wow. It's really cool, and National Geographic, if you look in there, has some really interesting stuff on it. Let's go ahead now and look at our activity sheets for today. The first one is a calendar, and what I'd like you guys to do is go ahead and take this calendar activity sheet and fill in the blanks. You may need to use your Spanish-English notebooks to get the day of the name of the month in Spanish. Then go ahead and fill in the days of the week in Spanish. Remember that they start on lunes. Luna means moon, so lunes is their moon day or Monday. Their calendar starts off on Monday. Another activity sheet that I've included is this one. Okay, this is the Aztec calendar. Yeah, and what I've done is I've given it to you in black and white so that you can go ahead and take it and color it. Yeah, doesn't that look nice? And this one came out of, is based on the drawings of in the National Geographic. And in there they explain everything about the different figures that you find. They'll have a color drawing if you want to try to imitate the colors. The Aztecs used a lot of bright colors. Today, we did some review, but then we talked about some of the astrological feats of the Mayas and the Aztecs here in the Americas before the Spaniards arrived. Next class will be the review lesson before the evaluation. So teachers, you might want to make sure that you have the Loteria boards copied so that the students can participate with me here. Okay? ¿Saben qué? Ya es hora de despedirnos. For our goodbye song today, let's do something that you may be doing every day in your class. You may recognize it. It's called Saludo a la Bandera. Now, teacher, it's in the Songs and Poems page, so you'll be able to find it there. And here we go. We're going to need this. Okay, and what you do, you stand at attention, look at the flag, and you say this. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Did you recognize that? Saludo a la bandera? Yeah. Well, maybe you guys can practice that if you'd like to in your classroom. Remember, next class we're going to be reviewing everything, so you might want to look over your notes and look over your activity sheets. Try to make sure that you have your Loteria boards ready, and we'll play that next time. Until our next class. Adiós y hasta luego.